Hi, everyone, and thanks for joining us. I'm Josh.
And I'm Sarah.
And we are the Hiking Fools, guiding you through the trails of Glacier National Park. And I'll tell you what, it's at the recording of this episode, it's a summer season, and so we are thick in it. Sarah and I are out there just about every weekend now, so we're camping and staying at chalets and traveling some trails, a bunch of places this year so far that we actually haven't been.
Yeah, yada, yada, yada. My legs hurt.
Yeah, miles, 30 miles, 2 days, twice while staying overnight. So that's, we come back and need a little time off. We're getting older, so, it takes longer to recover. But absolutely worth it. And again, like I said, reaching some parts of the park that we haven't seen before, or at least seen from a certain angle or a certain direction. And today we're going to be talking about a hike to Ahern Pass. And it's a terrific hike, kind of in the northwest, north central area of the park. It's tucked in quite a ways, and you need to give it some effort to get there, but it's located on the Northern Highline Trail. So let's talk quickly about all of the different ways that you can get there and all of the different destinations that you can kind of take from there.
Yeah, probably the most popular spot to leave from is Granite Park Chalet. If you stay overnight there, that's a perfect way to do it. You got to really haul booty if you're going to go from any other location. But the way we did it is we hiked in from Logan Pass on the Highline Trail to Granite Park Chalet. We stayed overnight, and then we did the following day an excursion over at Ahern Pass.
Yep. Continue down up the Northern Highline, which eventually will get you to Canada, Waterton Lakes, and you can either head up to this area from the loop to Granite Park and past, or start at the Logan Pass as we did and take through the Highline Trail. And boy, there's just all these little spur trails, the Grinnell Glacier Overlook, which is in another episode if you want to check that out. All these little spurs, we went up to Swift Current Lookout. So technically you could come from any glacier up and over that Swift Current Pass and stop at the chalet or stay at the chalet and head up. You can come the other direction from the north and stay at a place like 50 Mountain Campground and come down to the pass and check it out. But this is it's difficult to get to any way you go. It's like 18 miles almost from the loop if you head out past the chalet. And that's at 2,500 feet of elevation gain. So you're, your calves are burning. And it's almost 10 miles round trip from Granite Park Chalet itself. Not as much elevation gain. Once you get up to that area, it's kind of undulating up and down to Ahern Pass.
Yeah, some gentle rolling hills. Yes.
Yeah. Except for that wear and tear on your body. But it's and you can go places from Ahern Pass. In our experience, or in our case, Ahern Peak is right there. Once you get to the pass, as in so many passes in Glacier, you kind of go up and down either direction and get onto a peak. In this case, Ahern Peak, where you can see Ahern Glacier. In the other direction, you can go up and overlook Iceberg Lake. So you're just in this place where you're looking northeast into the Belly River drainage, Helen Lake, Elizabeth Lake. You're headed facing toward Canada. You got Iceberg and Many Glacier Valley on your right, and then behind you is all the areas we already talked about: Granite Park, Logan
And you're
Pass.
Right on the Continental Divide too, which doesn't get any better than that.
It doesn't. You're seeing up and down both sides, many sides, and so that's getting there, and kind of the region location of the park and some trail stats, distance, elevation gives you some idea. I'd call it strenuous from most directions. If you're staying at Granite Park, that's probably the easiest way to get there and back. So Sarah, if we talk a little bit about the history of this origin, kind of how it was named, the significance of that, and a few points of interest along the trail, where does this come from, Ahern Pass?
Well, Lieutenant George Ahern, he led a military mapping expedition through the Northern Rockies back in 1890. So this area was kind of named after him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so 20 years before the park was established, I know a lot of places we've talked about Marias Pass, and now this one where people were exploring these, looking for routes through the mountains prior to the establishment of Glacier
There wasn't
National
much of a
Park.
trail. They kind of, beat that up.
And they're beat down there for it. It's called. I guess he gets to name it.
All right.
Someday I'll name a lake after you, sweetie. We were looking down on Helen Lake, all these lucky ladies, in the eye of these explorers. And I don't know. I always wonder how to, Helen, whoever that was, has got a wonderful, beautiful lake that you can view from the pass. So
yes.
She got one of the best. Some of the others aren't as spectacular. But in this case, the pass is named for that lieutenant and on his expedition. It's It's a placement right between parts of the park. As I mentioned, you're on the Continental Divide, and right there, it turns west and then kind of, circles back or doubles back and heads north from there. So so traveling the trail, some highlights and wildlife and things to see. Ahern Pass, it runs right through, and we're going late in the season, mid-August, and so the Ahern Drift has been melted, but it's a place where sometimes they need to blow it out of there, right?
Yeah, it gets pretty thick, and you can either go below it or turn back. So in our case, it was pretty well melted off, and there was no snow on the trail. But I have heard, we haven't encountered that, but that it can get pretty deep, and it's a place where you don't want to cross the snow. It's really steep there, so it's not safe at all. Yeah.
Some people have, if you're an experienced mountaineer, you may have the ice axe and the crampons, things that you would need to arrest yourself if you're falling, if you're sliding. So we're not going to deter every single person from heading out on it, but it's something to consider for the average, the general, and maybe even intermediate or advanced hiker.
So this trail, too, goes through a lot of geologic features, but also it goes through a burn area as well. So the trail, because of that, is very exposed. So I would say filter water at Granite Park Chalet, fill up. They have a filtering site, and then the next time you'll be able to filter is just past. Well, there was one other melt spot, but I wouldn't depend on that. But I would go past the Ahern Drift until you hit Ahern Creek, and that's pretty well running all the time. And that would be a good place to filter. So you don't necessarily have to carry a ton, but as I mentioned, it's hot and exposed. You know how much you need.
Dang hot. Yeah, in our case, it was very lucky. If it's clouded over, it depends on the time of the day. It was kind of cool and clouded over for us, which was great. But again, always look at and remember the direction of the trail that you're hiking, and where the sun will be in the first part of the day, the second part of the day. In this case, it's setting to the west, and that hillside that you're walking on the way back, either between the chalet and the pass. If it's in the afternoon, as she mentioned, it's going to be hot.
And we started in the morning, so it was shaded for the first few miles, and that felt really nice.
Did we start in the morning? We usually get somewhat of a late start. We're not that we don't get after it.
I think it was 9.
It was.
Yeah.
But it's okay if you're thinking of that. Think it through and understand what you're going to experience before you get there, so you're not finding yourself, wow, I wish I had sunscreen. I wish I had a hat, or I didn't know that the last place to get some water was back there. So plan ahead.
Yeah, well, because of the Heaven's Peak fire that came through in 1936, and then also the Trapper Creek fire in 2003, you have a lot of those fire scars and you have stands, but because of that, you have some intense wildflower growth, like the fireweed, which comes up, one of the first flowers to propagate in that they need that full sun exposure. So I remember seeing a ton of fireweed, which was wonderful. A lot of that pearly everlasting. We even came across some huckleberries, which was really nice. And just know that this area is prone to grizzlies. We saw a lot of very, very fresh grizzly sign. So make sure that you're very bear aware. There's some places where you can see pretty far, which is really helpful. But then you also go through some small little thick areas of subalpine firs. So always make sure that you're making noise. There's a lot of blind corners and hills.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. That's true. And then we saw on this particular hike, we saw a mule deer, we saw some goats, we saw a grizz closer to the chalet. Sheep was on the hillside near the pass.
Pika.
So, wildlife opportunities abound. And Sarah mentioned some berries, and I'm just jacked, pumped on this hike.
I really like this hike.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. And the destination is maybe even better. Like I said, all the directions that you can look down, the excursions, from the pass are terrific and prolific. And, there's so much to offer on this hike. And Sarah, as you're rounding a couple of the corners, we came across some terrific geological features, and I want you to talk a little bit more about those after the break. So stick with us. We'll be right back. We got another segment coming up.
Around here, people can tell when someone only talks the talk. At Freedom Bank, we hike the hike. We answer the phone with the real smiling person. We make decisions locally and stay beside our customers through challenging terrain and milestone moments. We're a small bank with powerful tools, responsive service, and people who genuinely care. Freedom Bank, big solutions, small town heart. We want to be your bank. Member FDIC.
For everything summer in Montana, think Snappy's. Snappy Sports Center is not only your fishing and hunting headquarters, they're also stocked with hiking boots, backpacks, camping gear, bear spray, and outdoor clothing for the whole family. Located on the corner of Highways 2 and 35 on your way to Glacier Park and away from the traffic on Highway 93. Forgot something? They probably have it. Need something? They definitely have it. Skip the traffic and stock up on adventure with Snappy Sports Center, a store like no other since 1947.
Welcome back. We are the Hiking Fools, and in this episode discussing a terrific hike, Ahern Pass. And before we hit today's trail, thanks to Freedom Bank for helping make Hiking Fools possible.
Big solutions, small town heart, just the kind of people you want on your adventure.
So great. We love all the local cooperation for the Hiking Fools. Appreciate everyone there very much. So we're traveling the trail, Sarah. We kind of left off rounding the corner, and you can kind of see where Ahern Pass is, but not until this point where you run across the Ahern Drift, a big snowfield that you want to be aware of early in the season. Later, not so much of a problem, but right in that area, you went on for I don't know how long with one of our good friends about the geology. We know Glacier Park is a geologist's paradise, but this trail, what do you see?
I just want to back up a little bit. So the wows came long before the Ahern Drift. So our shout out to our friend of ours, Anna, who was on this hike with us, who has some geology background. And I kind of nerd out on geology, but I'm not an expert by any means. I just really enjoy it, and I do a lot of research on it. So every corner, I was like, what's this? What's this? Why did this do this? You know, so we were kind of putting our heads together and discussing that, and it was super exciting. But, you know, she located just off of the chalet some pillow basalt, you know, which is formed from volcanic matter, which is really, really cool. And then just before the second to last corner, when you wind around towards the drift, you can see some volcanic intrusions, and that was really cool just along the El Camino syncline. And again, we're on the Continental Divide, so on the right side, you have the Arete, which is formed from two competing glaciers on either side that make that kind of dragon spine look to it, which I think is super rad. But just as you're rounding the corner and you're facing the drift, all to your left, down below you, you see like flat waving rock. And those are all from the Purcell lava flow, which is super cool. And, you know, billion-year-old rock, basically. So, and then on the right side, as you're rounding the corner there to go to the drift, you have the diorite rock. You know, we have all that we need for the Purcell sill, which you often see in various parts of the park, kind of that reversed Oreo cookie look, so to speak.
All the elements that go into this, from the sedimentary rock, you know, that's forming mudstone, to the igneous metamorphic rock is underneath, you know, as the time passed. And so that's what we mean when we say it's just it's got so many different features. So, and your favorite, I don't know if you're going to talk about it, but the stromatolites.
Yes, I love it. So this trail really showcases all that Precambrian belt supergroup, you know, sedimentary layers. It's all of that ancient Purcell basalt lava flows. It's just amazing. But the stromatolites, they're just something special. You see them in various places of the park, but this was like a colony of stromatolites, like a tide pool of stromatolites that formed, you know, in this billion-year-old rock, and they were all different sizes, and it was pretty amazing. I had to take pictures with my hands next to it just so you could see the various sizes, and it was that perfect, you know, ring shape that you often see on a cross section of a tree, which is formed when it's growing in that shallow sea that was once here, and sedimentary layers, you know, like all that sediment forms on top of it, and then it grows beyond it, and more sediment, and then it grows beyond it, and it just kind of goes along, and eventually, you know, later on it fossilizes. So it's really, really cool to see that this is fossilized life right here. And just trying to, then you look around and you try to imagine what this area looked like, you know, with lava flowing and shallow seas, and, you know, you have parts of the granite, you know, infused that was superheated rock, you know, to form the granite. It's just,
Yeah, the stromatolites.
I just love this area.
I have learned to appreciate them, with the history and how they form. Looks like a beautiful cross section with the concentric circles, kind of rings around it. And now I'm been able to identify them and appreciate the history and the significance of these. So
you finally get up to Ahern Pass, and this is a great place, what we've heard, to see also wolverine. So obviously there's very few in the park, but this is an area of the park that they have been seen. We didn't see any on this particular hike in, but we did look for them. But once you're there, you have, below you is Helen Lake, which is about 2,000 feet down, and
yikes.
You can go to the left, and if you're not used to navigating, mountains and, climbing and route finding. And
route,
yes.
Yeah.
So you can just go to the left and you can climb Ahern Peak and you just follow the edge. Don't get too close because it's about 3,000 feet from the summit.
Yes, as you head up, it's quite a knife edge ridge all the way down, and the peak sits at about 8,700 feet, and the pass is at 7,100 feet. So it's you're heading kind of straight up along that ridge, but totally worth it because then you can see into the north part of the park, the big Mount Cleveland's and Ipasha Peak. Some of the huge mountains that exist in that northern, more remote part of the park.
Yes, and in this particular day, we went up and climbed the peak, and then we dropped down, and we went up to the right on the ptarmigan wall, and we looked down from the iceberg notch down on Iceberg Lake, and that was really cool.
Had to really convince each other that was something we wanted to do. All told, it was about a 20-mile day, but once you're in these places, that's our advice. The mountain's not going anywhere if it's unsafe, if it's if you can't do it. If it's, there's weather coming in, then don't, make the smart decision. But we have also found that once you're in some of these more remote places, whatever is around there, you can do it because you'll regret it on the way out, the way that you feel and your knees and energy levels and your fatigue. But I think you regret it more. They say, right, is that you regret the things more that you don't do. And so every time we've looked back and said, should we have done that? It's a big yes. And if we don't, it's a regret. So you push yourself.
Yes. And it's not a trail up to the notch. So you just kind of have to know where to go and kind of navigate your way. It's pretty steep and there's a lot of talus that you have to step over. We saw some big horde sheep in that area. I felt like that was a good sign that we should do it.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Whatever sign you want, take it. Iceberg Notch, a little half mile up and 1,000 feet thereabouts. Kind of like the Grinnell Glacier overlook. But, anytime you can look over the other side and see amazing things from a different perspective or places that you've been, looking down is very interesting to see the tiny people at the shore of Iceberg Lake from where we were and think and say, we've stood there. But now we're looking at it from a totally different perspective. Just gorgeous, beautiful turquoise cyan lakes that you're looking down on. So as you're approaching this area, any pass in the park, be aware it could be extra windy. I mean, I've often said it's the lowest and the highest place, and it may sound weird, but when you get to a pass, usually it's between peaks, it's between slopes, and it's the lowest part of right where you are, right there. So the wind is funneling through this area, so expect that. It's also the highest place because you're heading up and over, your trail extends, and usually when you're heading toward a pass, if you're not climbing a peak or something, it's your high point before you either head up or come down. And so, whether it's Swift Current Pass, Gunsight Pass, and we've got episodes on all of these trails, check it out because of some of the neatest places in the park. You can see what's behind, you've come from a certain place and you're heading toward another place in the park, and it just connects, these passes connect various parts.
And I just want to mention, too, when you get back to the chalet, before you hike out, wherever that may be, make sure you stop in there and check it out because it's pretty cool. It was built back in 1913 by the Great Northern Railroad, and it's still standing today. One of two remaining chalets in the park that are still standing, and they sell refreshments, grab a Snickers, hang out inside. The floor is amazing.
Always a Snickers.
Know,
at Sperry Chalet, it's the lemonade, and at Granite Park Chalet, it's a candy bar. But you walk in there, it's neat. It's neat to talk with the folks that are staying there, and Sarah's absolutely right. Check it out. Amazing structure, amazing place, and something to see as well. So we've talked a little bit about how to get there. There are multiple ways that you can get there from various parts of the park. Some of the trail stats, again, depending where you're at, you can, from the chalet front and back, it's 10 miles. From the Logan Pass, it's going to be further than that. It's going to be, depending where you end, up to 20 miles and plus. So pay attention, look at what you want to see along the way with Ahern Pass as your destination. But some of our personal experience from it, lots of wildlife, lots of flora, lots of things along the landscape, and just some great rock formations, some geology that you don't get every day and you don't get in every place. I mean, Glacier has all kinds of different formations that you got to pay attention to, be aware of, to enrich your experience. But hopefully that helps you enjoy this hike, Ahern Pass in Glacier National Park. And for sure, check out our Instagram page at HikingFoolsMT to see some great photos from our recent adventures, including this one. And we'll ask you to tune in next time. Check out more episodes online. And remember to follow us on Spotify, YouTube, or Apple Podcasts. I'm Josh.
And I'm Sarah.
And we are the Hiking Fools, encouraging you to always go